ça ne dérangera pas, ça n'empêchera pas de jouer aux cartes, ça n'empêchera pas de dormir sur l'autoroute, ça n'empêchera pas de parler d'argent, ce sera tout à fait comme
Brigitte Fontaine is a French avant-garde singer who has embraced a number of styles, including folk, jazz, spoken word, rock and roll. She's collaborated with a bizarrely diverse set of names, including Art Ensemble of Chicago, Archie Shepp, Stereolab, Sonic Youth, and Grace Jones. She released her first album in 1966, and she's still going. Areski Belkacem, other pronunciations might be more correct, is a French multi-instrumentalist, singer, composer, and comedian. During his military service, he became friends with a guy called Jacques Higelin. Again, pronunciation might be a thing, who is a French, or was, don't know, a French pop singer. Areski's first album was released in 1969, which was a collaboration with Higelin. But he's had a long-time collaboration with Brigitte Fontaine. He released his first solo album in 1970, and his second and most recent in 2010, which was 40 years later. He has worked with a lot of other people and has also been involved with soundtrack work. The Art Ensemble of Chicago are an American avant-garde jazz group who seem to skirt the line between serious and silly. They were born out of born out of the Association for the Advancement of Creative Musicians, who are an avant-garde collective of musicians, particularly with a leaning towards jazz, but not just. And as well as normal instruments, they also play a variety of world and ethnic instruments and toy instruments. So, nice stat. While playing in Europe in 1969, 500 instruments were used. They've got some members, they've had some past members, they've still got 2 members, and they've had a lot of guests appear on their albums and presumably on their tours as well. And they're known for playing with face paint on. So they had, in the listing of albums in Wikipedia, there are 5 albums that are in this list before they'd settled on this name, and they had several different names for largely the same people that became the Art Ensemble of Chicago. They then have released quite prolifically at times. So, for example, they released 7 albums in 1969 alone. They're still releasing. They have released an album this year, which is 2023. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is a review of the album Comme à la radio, which is by Brigitte Fontaine with Areski Belkacem and the Art Ensemble of Chicago. It's Brigitte's 4th album. It's her first with Areski, and also we've got the Art Ensemble of Chicago here. This is my first time listening to this album. So this is described as chamber jazz, and I'm not sure about that, but who am I to say? I often say this, I go, here's the genre that's been given. I'm not sure, but I don't have the expertise to precisely do this. To my mind, again, my limited mind, chamber jazz is kind of jazz that approaches chamber music. And I'm not convinced that it does that. So I've not come across Brigitte Fontaine before. I've not come across Areski before. I have come across the Art Ensemble of Chicago before. And I would say that this album is not as bonkers as some of their other stuff that I've come across. If you don't know other stuff of theirs, that might not help you at all. Mostly, then, this is music with singing. And the dominant singing is Brigitte. Sometimes we've got Areski. It's really clear which one is which because they've got very different voices. Brigitte sings in a very quiet way, and she sits very close to a microphone and kind of is kind of sing whispering almost, but it's not really whispering, but it's really kind of gentle and quiet and airy. And Areski sings in a stronger way. Now, he's apparently of Algerian descent, and his singing sounds somewhat like that makes sense because it sounds like he's singing in a kind of North African way. Although I couldn't give you details of exactly, what that means. You just hear it and go, "Yes, that sounds like that." The musical backing is interesting. Well, yeah, this is the Ensemble of Chicago. It's backed off quite a bit. So it tends to kind of feel like it's low in the mix compared with the vocals. And it tends to mix spacious jazz with a more kind of world music feel, again, particularly North African, maybe kind of little bits of Middle Eastern. I guess there's quite a few similarities there. And it's as if they've got a slider that goes from here to here, and then they kind of set something along here wherever we are. So sometimes it's more jazz, sometimes it's more kind of world music, sometimes it's more in between. And then occasionally they let out their avant-garde desires and give things that are with discords and out of tune and out of time, but still gives you something that's fairly atmospheric. Okay. So the singing's all in French, I think. Obviously, French is, well, not obviously, but French is not a language that I am thoroughly embedded in. It's possibly one of my strongest languages, not that I'm by any means a linguist. Um, and so I'm not sure if there are other languages in here, but the things that I noticed were French here. The overall, so that means I don't understand the words. Like, maybe I wish I did. There are occasional phrases that I can pick out, but I don't really get the feel for what's being sung about, and I wonder if that's also interesting. Um, the overall feeling's quite odd. It's slow-ish and it's got this spacious feel to it. Sometimes it's a bit lo-fi in the kind of feel of recording. It feels generally as if they've found kind of an empty church hall somewhere on recording in there. It's got this kind of slight emptiness feeling to it. Also mixed in is some spoken word stuff as well. So just going to pick one track out and do a little bit of description. Encore is a track which starts with, it's actually not music, it's the sound of cicadas and Brigitte talking and little bits of singing in that. And then there's occasional bits of instruments that pull into that. But it's quite, again, empty and spacious. So he's got a nice voice. I would say his voice is fine, but her voice is fairly attractive. And as I said, I do wish I knew what she was singing about. So for me, it's okay. It's just got itself into the sevens in terms of score. It feels a bit like well, for me, it feels a bit like a novelty. Maybe that's because I'm approaching this from the outside. Maybe if you're very much in the avant-garde world, this is an essential album and it's hugely influential. I don't know because I'm not in that world. But at this point, as always, I want to invite you to tell me what you think of this album. And you can do that, please, by leaving me a comment. But that's it from me for now.
Qui suis encore vivante, sabre blanc